Hello everyone. Today we're going to cover the Cube Drafter. It's a Google Sheets run script that can draft your cube virtually and also applies a visual look for anyone that is curious about your cube. Specifically, Pokemon cubes. We're going to cover how to actually use this because it seems a lot of people have a little trouble figuring out how this works. I myself was included in that, and I've dedicated my time to making this video to explain how to use the basic functions of the Cube Drafter. The first thing you'll notice on the Cube Drafter is these columns. You have your name, which would be the name of your Pokemon, the set number, the class, which would be if it says trainer, a supporter, a Pokemon, and the type. The type would only apply to Pokemon, and then the image URL, which will be what image actually displays in the draft. We're going to go over how to first manually input Pokemon. So the first thing is to type into the name slot. You should already know what kind of cube you'd like to build, and there's a function on here that will help you determine that if you need help with that. There's plenty of building resources out there too. There's plenty of things that go over how to build a cube, and of course the Discord server offers many people that are very passionate about cube and can help you build yours if you need it. But to import your Pokemon manually, we first got to figure out what kind of Pokemon I want to put in. I'm going to put in Medicham EX, if you can spell it right of course, because I like this card quite a bit. It's set. Now the set column accepts only abbreviations. The name column can accept anything you put in there, so any misspellings would appear on there. The set only accepts the abbreviations for each set, so things like for Fates Collide it would be FCO, or X and Y, which is X and Y. For Medicham EX, I know it's from Emerald, and there are a few other set abbreviations. They can all be found in the database below in the description. But I know what works is EM, because Medicham EX is from EX Emerald. The set number is 95. I know that because I play with Medicham EX quite a bit. Now, you may be wondering, now the class, it's a Pokemon. Well, you don't actually have to type in anything for these three slots, because there's a function embedded in the script that will do this part for you. So as long as you have the name, the set abbreviation, and the set number, the script will do the rest for you. It's pretty handy if you tell me. So, in order to do that, now that we have our name, our set abbreviation, and our set number, we'll go to the draft tab. The draft tab, you must accept the script. That can be done through, it will pop up a message instantly that will tell you how to do that. Go to import card data. Once you import the card data, it will tell you your card data. You will see here that the notes are displayed below under the card. This will tell you everything the card does, and everything seems to be in order. It also tells you what kind of Pokemon it is, which in this case it's an EX Pokemon. Under the class, it automatically put in Pokemon for us, and for type it automatically put fighting, which checks out. And look, the image. Wow, Medicham EX, who would have known? That just shows you the power of the Cube Drafter. There's also another feature you can use to display cards. Say if you have a bunch you want to put in, but you don't necessarily know the set abbreviations or the numbers, you just happen to know the cards, which can be confusing for a lot of newer players that play in older formatted cubes. Not many people would know what EX Emerald even was to this day. If you go to the Draft tab and go to the Card Finder feature, the script will run, and it acts as a database. All you have to do is type in the name of the card. For this example, we'll also just do Medicham. If we type in Medicham to the tab here, Medichams begin to appear. It takes a little bit to load all of them. Sometimes you have to refresh, sometimes you have to research. But overall, all of them will appear slowly but surely. And they seem to all be here, at least the ones the database knows. If you click on one of them, it will automatically add the card to it, and the next emptiest slot on the cube list. You'll also notice that when you hover over a card, it will tell you what it does. This helps you if you don't actually know what you want, but you know, say you know like you want a Medicham in your list, but you don't necessarily know all the other Medichams. You can also just go through this and look at them. If we go ahead and click the rest of them, like this, you'll notice that in the Cube List tab, they've all been added with the proper set abbreviation and the proper set number, along with already imported images. This will automatically mean that you can just start the table draft with those cards. Now, like I said, the card finder feature is not perfect. You may have to refresh. After a couple searches, it gets a little tired. It needs you to refresh the page. I can try doing this all the time, but it works for every card. It helps with a lot of base set promos, like Eevee, for example. Some of the older Wizard of the Coast promos have a hard time determining what the actual abbreviation is. Sometimes normally it's BSP, but sometimes it can be something like, oh, I don't know, crazy. Well, let's say we find our favorite guy, Eevee, from the Wizard of the Coast promo, Chain Reaction. If we click it, it puts in there. And you notice here, the normal set code for base set promos would be BSP, but under here, it has WP. But the card already imported correctly. And the note's correct too. The next feature I would like to show you is the visual function. This is a fairly new thing. A lot of people don't seem to know how to use it yet. If you go to the Draft tab, click on Toggle Visual, a script will run. And you'll see in below in the right corner that new tabs will begin to appear. This is the visual. It will show you supporters, items, stadiums, and Pokemon too. But you'll notice that all the Pokemon are in one row. There's a way to organize this so it looks a little more clear, especially if someone's new to drafting your cube and you want to show all the lines without having them have to scroll for hours. If you go back to your cube list function, and you find your line. Say you want to organize them by type of line. Well, let's organize the grass line first. To organize the grass line, I will say I want them all to appear in column 1. So in this first column here, on the second row, I will type 1. And if I do that, every card between this 1 will appear in the first column. But I don't want that. I only want the grass Pokemon to appear. So I'm going to scroll down up until Torchic on line 41. And then I'll hit 2. What this does is, between Torchic and the root fossil, everything before that will appear in column 1. Now you'll notice that in the Pokemon tab, nothing's changed. All you have to do is run the script again. If you hit Toggle Visual, it will make the packs disappear. If you go to Toggle Visual again, the script will run. You'll find that your grass Pokemon are all in the first column, while everything else would be in the second column. And you can make infinite columns. The spreadsheet will just go across and across as long as you need it to. But generally people just use the few first columns for their lines. And of course it would go 3, wherever the water Pokemon would be, 4, 5, 6, onward. However, when you're done putting in cards for that particular tab in the visual, usually it stops at trainers, you could hit 0. Now, the feature organizes trainer cards primarily, but there might be something included in your cube that you don't want to appear in that visual tab at all. Sometimes a trainer might pick up as a Pokemon imported wrong, but maybe you can't import the card right. This is primarily a fringe case for custom cards. But if you do, all you have to do is type in 0 on the line you don't want to appear in the Pokemon tab. That means from now on, as long as I have the 0, anything below the 0, including the line it's on, will not appear in that tab no matter what. If you scroll down here, you'll notice the column tags. What's important here is sometimes some cards don't appear in the database correctly. One example would be Holon's Transceiver, which is listed as a Pokemon tool. If you want the card to appear in a certain tab of the visual, all you have to do is type in one of these sort codes on the right side in the column box on the row you want it. For example, they all appear in the drafter, but say I wanted Plus Power. It's not an item card, it's a trainer card. And there might be a case where it wouldn't appear in the visual under items. So if it didn't, I would hit I. And when I did that and I reran the toggle visual script, it would then automatically put this card into the item tab, regardless of what else it would be. The same goes for energy. Some cubes include basic energy in their draft. Some include special energy. You might want to include Holon's Pokemon under your special energy tab, just so people know they exist in there. Same for stadiums, items, all sorts of things. And that's the visual function. The most important part of the visual function is the ignore card feature. If you don't want a card to appear in a certain box or anything like that, you would type a dash. The last thing is to run your draft. If you go to the draft tab, hit Start Table Draft, the script will run and bring up a window. The cube will say packs per player, pack size, and the number of drafters. To hide extra draft tabs will be helpful if you're drafting under 8 players. The cube drafter can only run maximum 8, but as little as 2. If your pack size is wrong, for example, I'll show you here, I'm going to say every pack will have 20 cards in it, and everyone's going to get 6 of them, and there's going to be 6 drafters. When I hit OK, it will tell me there's not enough cards in the cube. Okay, go back to your start table draft. And let's put in the right number this time. You'll notice when you hover over a card, the notes will display, explaining what the card actually does. This can be helpful when you have older series cards that usually have a lot of text on them, such as Blaziken EX here. A lot of text on Burnaway. But here, you can all be read easily, as opposed to the small text in the image. The next thing I'd like to cover is running the draft. Each player will be put into their tab. Each tab can be renamed so for the players can know who is who. And then each player will click a card in each pack. If you click more than one, it will show you that you are still waiting on players for 8. Now, if I deselect Carving Break, it will say player 8 is no longer waiting for. That means the player has picked that pack. Every player will need to pick at least one card in their pack before the script can run. So if we go through the process of choosing a card for everyone's pack, you probably want to pick Item Finder in that pack. Go through here, select everyone's card, not putting too much thought into it. Voila. You'll notice that when everyone has picked a card from their pack, no other name will display in the waiting for box. That means that it's safe to pass the packs. Go to the draft tab, select pass the packs, the script will run. Depending on what order the packs are in, it will go counterclockwise or clockwise, depending on which pack you're on. Player 1 has received Player 8's pack in this regard. Down in the corner, the passing to feature will tell you who you're actually passing to. This can be helpful for competitive drafting. See if a line's open or not, or say, is it safe to pass this card to this player and will they pick it or not? You'll notice when I pick Steven's advice, it appears in my card list. Every card you draft will appear in the card list. There's also ways to sort it. Say, I want to sort them by the name. I can hit this little triangle here and sort A to Z, or Z to A. Same goes for set number, class. These class and name are basically the ones you want to go for. You'll also notice that in the bottom left corner, the drafter will tell you how many picks are left in the entire cube. This means that I will get 77 cards in total. Under draft counts on the right here, it will tell you what you've actually drafted. Notice how it says I have one supporter. That's because I drafted one supporter. It will also tell you for anything else too. The same goes for each player's tab as well. If you look down the deck counts function, you'll notice it says one Pokemon, and the deck list will say one total. That's because I have this selected. If I unselect Melodic, you'll notice that it's set to 0 now. The deck list function allows you to check mark cards you would like to include in your deck, or not include in your deck, and you can sort them through the A to Z function. Then, when you have your 60, you can just paste it right here. There are some errors with the drafter. Sometimes when you hit past the packs and every player is accounted for, it will still say waiting for players. If that happens, simply refresh the page. Other things can include errors like packs being picked wrong. We've had errors where packs disappear entirely, leaving the draft lopsided. To fix other errors like that, or say you need to go back in the past and refresh picks, you can go to File, Version History, and see Version History. On the version history, it usually updates about every few seconds. But I can go back as far as before I even started the tutorial if I wanted. It also lets you hover over every little thing here. If I go to, let's say this date, right before I actually started the table draft. If I go to player 1, you'll notice that no pick has been made yet. It's always good to have certain states saved. Most commonly, people save each pack as they're done being passed. But if you ever run into an error that it's irreversible, or cards disappear, or picks are wrong, or the pick order is wrong, you can always go to your version history. And once you determine which version history is the closest before the error, all you have to do is click Restore this version. It'll give you a warning to make sure you are fully aware you will be going back to this version. Hit Restore, and then it will refresh the page, and then return back to that version. And those are the basic functions of the Cube Drafter. I hope you found this video informative and helpful. And please look forward to more videos like this in the future. That's all I have for today, and I hope I can convince you to use the Cube Drafter. Until next time.